Hey there, book lovers. Today, we're taking a trip down memory lane with a classic that's been a staple in kids' bookshelves for decades, Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat. Whether you've read it as a child, read it to your kids, or are just here to reminisce, this whimsical tale is packed with mischief, laughs, and even a little bit of chaos. But don't let its colorful pages and simple rhymes fool you. It's more than just a fun story. There's a lot to unpack here in terms of themes, characters, and lessons. So, grab a cup of tea, or maybe a fishbowl, and let's get started. So, what's The Cat in the Hat all about? Well, it's a rainy day, and two kids, Sally and her unnamed brother, who also happens to be our narrator, are stuck at home with absolutely nothing to do. Their mom is out, the house is quiet, and the boredom is real. If you've ever been a kid on a gloomy day with no TV or internet to keep you busy, you know how that feels, right? But just when things couldn't get any duller, in walks the cat in the Hata Giant, bow-tie wearing, talking cat. Yes, you heard that right. This guy doesn't knock, doesn't introduce himself properly. He just lets himself in. Bold move, huh? The cat promises to turn this boring day into something extraordinary, and boy does he deliver. He brings a whirlwind of energy and chaos into the house, all while balancing an array of objects on his hands, feet, and tail. Honestly, it's like watching a circus act on steroids. Let's pause here to talk about the characters for a second, because they're what make this story so memorable. First, we have Sally and her brother. They're your average kids curious, a bit skeptical, and definitely not prepared for what's about to happen. They're innocent and obedient, but they're also intrigued by this bizarre character that's just waltzed into their lives. Then there's the cat. Oh, the cat. He's the ultimate wild card, part magician, part jester, and part chaos coordinator. He's charming, confident, and just mischievous enough to make you question his intentions. Is he here to help the kids, or is he just here to entertain himself? We'll get to that later. And we can't forget the fish. That's right, the family's pet fish. Now, you might be wondering, what could a fish possibly bring to the table? Well, the fish is actually the voice of reason in this story. He's the one constantly reminding the kids and us, as readers, that the cat's antics are dangerous, and their mom would definitely not approve. Basically, the fish is all of us screaming, "No, don't do that." So, back to the story. The cat's initial balancing act quickly spirals out of control. He's tossing plates, umbrellas, books, and even himself into the air. The kids are amused, but also a little terrified, because, let's face it, their mom is going to come home at some point. But wait, things escalate when the cat introduces Thing 1 and Thing 2. These two little troublemakers are basically chaos in physical form. They zoom around the house, flying kites indoors, knocking over furniture, and just creating an absolute mess. It's like a hurricane hit the living room. Meanwhile, the fish is losing his mind, yelling at the kids to kick the cat out before their mom gets home. Honestly, the fish deserves a medal for being the most responsible character here. The kids, however, are stuck in this moral dilemma. Do they stop the cat and risk ruining the fun? Or do they let him continue and deal with the consequences later? It's a classic conflict of fun versus responsibility. And honestly, it's pretty relatable, even for adults. Eventually, the chaos reaches its peak. The house is a disaster zone, and it seems like there's no way they'll clean it up in time. But just when it looks like all hope is lost, the cat pulls out one last trick. He brings in this super nifty cleaning machine and starts tidying up at lightning speed. In the blink of an eye, the house is spotless almost, like nothing ever happened. Impressive, right? The cat tips his hat, says goodbye, and leaves as abruptly as he arrived. And just as he's walking out the door, the kids hear their mom coming home. Talk about perfect timing. So, what can we take away from The Cat in the Hat? On the surface, it's a fun, rhyming story about a mischievous cat who brings a little excitement to a boring day. But dig a little deeper, and there's some pretty interesting themes to unpack. First, there's the theme of responsibility versus fun. The kids are torn between enjoying the cat's antics and doing what they know is right. It's a classic struggle that we all face at some point, though. Do you balance having fun with being responsible? The story subtly teaches kids that while it's okay to have fun, there's always a line you shouldn't cross. Then, there's the idea of imagination and creativity. The cat represents the wild, unfiltered creativity that we all have as kids, but sometimes lose as adults. He's a reminder that a little bit of chaos can be a good thing as long as you know how to clean up after yourself. And let's not forget the role of the fish. He's the voice of reason, the one reminding us to think about the consequences of our actions. In a way, the fish is like our conscience, always trying to keep us on the right path. Now, you might be wondering, why is The Cat in the Hat still so popular after all these years? Well, part of it is Dr. Seuss's genius. His rhymes are catchy, his illustrations are iconic, and his stories are just plain fun. But more than that, this book resonates with readers of all ages because it's about something universal: the tension between rules and freedom, chaos and order.